Kal Penn.
How's it going, man?
Welcome, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Nice to see you. You're welcome.
Very nice. Hey, everyone.
How's things?
Good, man.
Yeah?
I love coming back to Toronto.
They love you here, man.
I love Toronto. I love them.
You've had a lot of work up here.
I have, yeah.
What's just the transition? It's one thing to transition from being in Hollywood and then going into the White House and working in public service, and then the transition back.
Yeah.
What's that been like?
It's been fun. It's I feel very lucky that I've had the chance to do two things that are so disparate that I love so much. Never thought in a million years, obviously, that I would take a sabbatical from acting and go work in D.C. And then to have the luxury of coming back and going back into my first love, which is storytelling and filmmaking and the arts, is awesome. It's really special.
What do you get out of public service that maybe you don't get out of acting?
Nothing. No, I'm just kidding.
That is the correct answer. So well played.
No, you get. I mean, you know, the reason that I took a break and wanted to go work for the president was, you know, I had a lot of friends who were overseas in Iraq. I had buddies who couldn't afford college, friends who didn't have access to healthcare, all that stuff. And you kind of think, you know, as actors, a lot of times you get to participate in a fundraiser for an organization or kind of really chip away a little bit at all these issues. But then when I started volunteering for the president years ago, and that kind of segued into having had a chance to work there, sort of can't say no to you know, doing it full time.
Don't ask, don't tell. What do you think in 10 years is going to be the cultural, or just what's going to be the real ramification of that change?
I was doing a USO tour a few years ago, going to visit troops in different places, and we were in Seoul, South Korea, and I went out with a bunch of friends who lived in LA and were living in Seoul. We ended up at a bunch of expat bars, and one of them happens to be a gay bar, and we're going up to the bar to order drinks, and there are like 8 guys with crew cuts singing an army song. And we start talking to them, and I was like, you know, I'm just out of curiosity, like, you guys are all just able to come out to a gay bar? Like, well, one of our buddies is gay, the other 7 of us aren't, so when we have a night off, we go to gay bars and straight bars and everything in between, just so everyone has something. And I thought, this is so different, you know, a younger generation of service members is so different than the older folks who are kind of setting the rules. And I think 10 years from now, to answer your question, it's just going to be so, you know, so much more progressive, I think, than it even was now or a couple of years ago.
When the president was going after bin Laden, did you use your experience in Guantanamo Bay?
To help out?
To help out? I mean, you had been there.
Sure.
Right.
You know, I can't tell you that. I'm not allowed to tell you that.
Do you think he had seen those movies before you showed up?
Bin Laden?
No, not Bin Laden.
Oh.
Dude, although, I bet you somebody played it for him, right?
Well, I mean, they found some crazy things on the man's computer, right? So who knows? No, it's funny. I get this question a lot, and I always think to myself, what point would be, I mean, the president is very pop culture savvy and all of that, but at what point do you ask him if he's seen your movies? Is it before the national security meeting and after the economic meeting, right? There's no good time for you to be like, by the way.
But dude, if it was George Bush, he would have quoted dialogue from those movies.
You know, it's funny, I actually had the chance to meet a couple of folks who worked in the Bush administration, and they were pretty high up, and they had seen the movie. So it was like sort of this testament to, you know, John Cho and I and John Hurwitz, Hayden Schlossberg, the guys that wrote the movie, came up here to Toronto in 2004 to shoot this thing. We lived here for like 5 months and loved it. Never in a million years thought that anyone would see it, not to mention folks that might work in government, right?
For sure. Well, here's the other thing you did that was, I thought, that you guys collectively did, is that your ethnicity wasn't a part of the movie.
Right.
That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
They don't put the brown guy in the movie. I mean, look, you've been the brown guy in movies and TV shows
I
before.
have, of course.
Where you have to do that stuff that you probably hate.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and this is all a testament to the guys that wrote it, right? And the story goes, these 2 guys, John Hurwitz and Hayden Schlossberg, they grew up in New Jersey, and they said to themselves, it's really weird that when we watch movies with our buddies, no one looks like our buddies. And like you know, we have Indian and Asian friends, and they don't come and sit on the couch for 2 minutes and then leave, like they do in the movies. That would be weird. So why don't we write a movie with guys that look like our buddies? And so that was the real, you know, kind of one of the reasons they went and wrote the film.
What is it like when a guy of your heritage says to his parents, hey, guess what? Guess what I want to do for a living?
Well, they tell you that that's not why they moved to America. Not so that you could be an actor. in retrospect, I think it's understandable why any parent would feel that way. And thankfully, my parents came around actually only just a couple of years ago when I was on the TV show House. Maybe it was because I finally was playing a doctor.
Right.
And that was the closest they could get. But I'm very lucky. They're very supportive.
Well, listen, man, if playing a doctor on TV wasn't good enough, how about telling him you're going to leave acting for a while to go into the White House?
You know, my dad actually, when I called him to tell him that, he started laughing. And I said, "What's so funny?" And he goes, "Well, look, son, you finally have a stable acting job," because I was on House for 2 years at that point. And he said, "And I'm just laughing because you've spent the last 12 years of your life in a career that has no stability and was going to make you very little money. And now that you have stability, you're leaving it for another career that has very little stability with very little money." And I said, "Yeah, I guess you're right." He's like, "So just think about that." I'm like, "No, yeah, I thought about that. I'm gonna do it."
I've worked on a lot of fun movies, but my favorite job was having a boss who gave the order to take out Bin Laden and who's cool with all of us getting gay married. So thank you, Invisible Man in the Chair, for that.
So,
Thank you. I had never done a speech like that before. I was very nervous.
Were you?
Yeah. I mean, it was all I basically got the chance to just tell stories about like 10 of my friends, but it was cool. It was a nice, fun crowd.
how do you manage nerves?
A lot of blow. No. I'm kidding.
No,
there was
no.
a pause before you guys laughed.
Hold
Wow.
on.
So
I want you to know that the person who's closed captioning this right now, hello to you out there, I hope you're having a great night. If you don't put in parentheses, audience laughs, all
Yeah.
people are going to read is a lot of blow.
yeah. Please put in audience laughs.
When you say I want to leave House to work with the president, and did they tell you right then you're going to kill yourself?
No, they said it was really sad, and I'll there was something that it put like a knot in my stomach. The scene, you don't see Kuttner take his own life, but you see when his coworkers find his body.
Yeah.
And you don't see his face, you don't see from the waist up, but the director wanted me to play myself. He didn't want to just hire a stunt double.
Not with those legs, man.
Right? Thank you.
Show them gams.
But the way we did it was, Olivia and Omar, if I'm remembering correctly, they have blood on their faces from performing CPR. So I had blood all over my face, and I was just, kind of laying there, and it was intense. And I don't think I was prepared for it because I just thought, I just have to lay here. And you're shooting this insane, really tragic scene around you, and it messes with your head a little bit.
After you say cut, I imagine you just don't let it go.
No, none of us did. We kind of, it was a bothersome, tough scene.
Anthropology time, sir.
Okay.
Apparently you played a sax in high school.
I did.
Did you ever consider a Kennedy G 80s perm?
No, but now I am.
You need to play, that's your next movie, man.
Yeah.
An 80s sax player.
Yes.
Who's a tougher boss, Dr. House or former White House Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel?
Rahm.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Is Rahm intimidating?
I didn't find him intimidating, but I mean, I'll always answer that question with the real life person instead of the fakie, right?
If you got to meet one historical horse, which would you pick? Pegasus, Seabiscuit, Trigger, or Mr. Ed?
Mr. Ed.
And why?
He talks.
How often, more than 5 or less than 5 times, have you used, before my days in the White House, to pick somebody up in a bar?
Ooh. I have not used that.
Your pause.
Should I? Do I need to?
Your pause indicated more than 5 times.
I would. I try to start it with, before my old boss gave everyone health care, but that doesn't play the same way.
Well, he gave them insurance reform.
Right.
He gave them insurance reform.
You got to start somewhere.
Absolutely. The finale of the 3D Christmas Harold and Kumar was lovely, thankfully. Such a oh, the 3D. Some of your 3D choices were so compromising.
They were for me as well.
Oh my God. What's the continuation of those two guys?
So we, the studio, I think, was going to end it at the third. I know we would all be happy to continue to do more if they decide to at some point. They're shopping around an animated version of it now, which John and I have both agreed to voice, obviously, and the two guys who wrote all 3 scripts are writing it. So we're hoping that by the spring we might get on Comedy Central with that.
Kal Penn, everybody.